Is Young Frankenstein a classic? Do you think it is? Do I think it is? We'll find out now. Really looking forward to seeing your comments about the movie and also about any other movies you want me to react to that would come under the term classic comedy. That means comedy excellent. So we want the best of the best here. So, Young Frankenstein. I must say I was so impressed with Gene Wilder in this movie. He really was outstanding. He just made me love him even more. In the process of reviewing this movie, I have to kind of edit clips together, and I'm looking at the highlights of the movie. Really, the best scenes of the movie, and you have to replay them a few times to edit them. And Gene Wilder is such a superstar. He looks fabulous. The hair, especially at the start of the movie, the hair was amazing, and his eyes, they're so expressive. And he can go from a very quiet voice, a very comfortable demeanor, and then he can go into hysterical mode, which is absolutely hilarious. But what I take most from his performance is his humanity and the amount of love he gives through the camera lens. You know, there's a few scenes, and you know, you just can't help but feel the emotion and love him even more. The movie production was amazing. It had that old Universal feel. It had the great sets. It had the black and white cinematography, of course, and also it had the original Frankenstein equipment from the 1931 movie. So you know, it's really made by somebody who loved the original movie, I think. And even though it was like a satire or parody, it doesn't demean the original movie in any way. It just makes you, you know, want to see the original movie again and kind of compare the two, because obviously they bring in a lot of elements from the original movie and from the Bride of Frankenstein as well. So, you know, those things were absolutely amazing. And, you know, if you look at the very, very best bits of it, and there are so many good gags in it, so many nice pieces of it, I don't think any fault can be found with them. And of course, there's Frankenstein himself, who doesn't actually appear, or Frankenstein's monster, I should say, who doesn't actually appear until at least halfway through the movie, maybe even later, and wonderfully played by Peter Boyle. And he brings a humanity to the role, and you really feel sympathy for the monster. He's supposed to be the monster, but actually the real monsters are the villagers and the audience and the police. You know, they behave terribly, and he's actually really civilized, but provoked awfully. And you feel anybody who does provoke him got their just desserts. And then at the end, when he has his moment in the spotlight, he's doing putting on the Ritz and tap dancing, and it's wonderful. But he even goes beyond that when Gene Hackman puts his own life at risk to bring the monster to another level, I suppose, to actually a very sophisticated level in the end. And then Peter Boyle has this wonderful speech where he talks about how he looks and people were afraid of him, and he has such great sincerity that you really feel for him, and he sounds wonderful as well. The voice is wonderful. Before that, he was just grunts and groans, no words, and then he speaks absolutely beautifully and inspirationally. Now, that was all wonderful. So, you know, 10 out of 10 to Melbrooks for that. I do have some problem with the plotting and how the characters end up. So I think the movie at parts was a bit slow, and especially I think the first part, but there's wonderful moments in it, but maybe in between the wonderful moments a little bit slow. And it's due to the genre. It maybe could have been more jokes put in, or could have been sped up a little bit. Then the latter half of the movie, a lot of things happen. There's some great scenes. Gene Hackman comes on as a blind man, which is, you know, totally unexpected cameo. And he does it really well. And again, the poor monster is put through the mill of getting soup put into his lap and burnt with cigars, and you know, is having his drink smashed. So great fun. But one thing, I think the ending has some problems. Firstly, with Kenneth Mars' character, not really resolved very well. Oh, just okay. You're a sophisticated guy now. That's fine. Everything's okay now. Let's go back to my house for whatever he said, sponge cake and wine or something like that. But the main problem, I suppose, would be I would have is with the monsters ending. Great, he's become sophisticated, but then he meets up with the very attractive Madeline Kahn, who's laying it on in spades, and it's wonderful. And she's just I haven't really spoken about her, but she's just amazing. She's just amazing in all her movies, and you can't have enough Madeline Kahn in your movie. But so her arc is good. She ends up with the monster, and she really likes the monster, what he has to offer. And but I think I would have liked seeing the monster finish up a little bit better. He ends up kind of henpecked in bed and reading the Financial Times. I think if they could have managed a scene where he's like running Wall Street or something like that, and he can still be henpecked. But I think it would have been like a better finish, a more fitting end to him than rather see him kind of cowed at the end. I want to see him kind of living large and on top of the world and that kind of thing. Because I was wondering when how are they going to actually end the movie, because you grow fond of these characters, and normally the monster has to die off in these movies. But he found a story arc for him, and I think it just could have ended on a higher note. And for Dr. Frankenstein, or Dr. Frankenstein, as he's adjusted to, he's a good ending. He marries his assistant, which is fine, and he gets some benefit from the monster, so it kind of works out well. Of course, let us not forget Marty Feldman, who was, I suppose, gave an iconic performance. You can't imagine anybody else playing that role now. And also, I think because of his costume, his head was covered, so he just had the look of him. He had just the blackness in the face with the big eyes, and he really made the most of him. I think my favourite part for him was when he was imitating Dr. Frankenstein with his fiancée, and it was just wonderful. It just a wonderful scene that was really well played. So he didn't have a story arc, but he found gainful employment, and he was really good in the movie. He was a foil to Dr. Frankenstein, and he did that very well. He played the kind of a not so bright one who's getting Dr. Frankenstein. He's the cause of all the problems, actually. So. And he didn't even realize it, but he was good help to Dr. Frankenstein, and he actually was the last person in the movie. So I suppose Melbrooks just had to have him go in there. There wasn't an available woman left to pair him off with, unless it was the housekeeper. So that didn't happen, but a good performance from Marty Feldman. Is it a classic? Would have had a very big impact. There wasn't that many parody movies out then. And so it would, even have even a bigger impact when it's a new genre almost. There was Blazing Saddles, which was kind of parodying like a lot of things. It wasn't just one particular movie. This was kind of based about one or two movies, so it's more specific. So I think on reviewing it again and going through all the great gags, fabulous gags, a lot of armology, worked really well with Kenneth Mars and with the monster and Genewilder. It's real physical stuff, but played so well. And I think, definitely Stonewall classic. And one of the things I talked about with classics is they get better each time you watch them, and that's why they are classics. They're not one-hit wonders. You see it and then you forget about it. There's a lot of movies that I've seen I thought were good, but I don't really want to see them again. This is one, you can and you do come back to, and that's what makes a classic. it's something wonderful you can have all your life, and you're never tired of it because it just keeps on giving. So can't say better than that. So thank you very much for staying with me for this reaction and review to Young Frankenstein. Now, for my channel, I have a lot of great ideas, and hopefully in the coming weeks we'll see them come to fruition. So put in your suggestions for classic comedy movies that you want me to react to. Give me a like or a thumbs up, and subscribe, and we'll get this channel rolling. So I have some interesting things coming up, and I have some ideas, maybe Melbrooks, if you want more Melbrooks. I haven't seen all of his movies. It could be possible just to, react to all Mel Brooks movies. Well, have them all in one place, discuss them all in one place, So that's a possibility. And the other genre I'm going to explore, or subgenre, I should say, is the carry-on movies. So, very well known in the British Isles and in Ireland and Australia and New Zealand and other English-speaking countries, but not, I guess, in America and Europe. So, even though there's a few European stars in them, and I grew up with them, and they are actually wonderful and great fun. So, as it's Halloween coming up this month, I'm looking for horror comedies, classic comedies, and I have one on my mind that kind of fulfills a few of those genres, and one that scared me when I was a kid, but it still is really, really funny, and with kind of a Harry Potter connection. So maybe that would be the next one I'll do. So as I said, keep on enjoying classic movies, and especially comedy classic movies, and we'll see you next time.